I'm like, where's the fly?
I need to buy you a slate. I need to buy you a slate. So you just, the real deal.
I know.
Take one.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to Business Over Beer, Untapped. I am Ben Surratt. I'm your co-host. Alongside me is...
The girl testing how to say Untapped on these podcasts. Kimberly Keys.
Kimberly Keys. And who do we have today, Kimberly Keys?
We have founding member Amanda Goff, founding member of Passages to Success, owner of Silver Keys Media.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello.
Well, thank you for coming here,
Yeah,
Amanda.
absolutely.
We've been trying to do this for a while.
It's been a long
I am so excited. I'm so excited. So I know that we have beer here. We'll get into that. But before we do, just give high level of who is Amanda and what is Silver Keys, just high level of who you are.
Okay, high level. Myself, as you know, who I am a high creative weirdo who just really loves visual storytelling. So actually, the fact that I get to do what I love to do with Silver Keys Media is absolutely amazing. I actually have kind of bifurcated my business to...
That's another good one.
I love that word. I have kind of switched where I'm really focusing Silver Keys Media, where I help entrepreneurs, business owners get really clear on their story, but really focusing on the visual storytelling in through video and through images. And then I actually am starting to really focus my brand marketing side of things with my collaborative AI brand creationeers. So taking AI mixed with HI, which is human intelligence, so that you can create a strong brand that resonates with your ideal client.
I love that. Well, we're going to get all of that. First, what are you drinking?
So this is a groundbreaker, gluten-free IPA number 5. That's a long name, especially if you've had a couple of them.
Oh, yeah. That is from Andres Jimenez's episode.
Oh no. Is that like drunk history?
Oh, no, yeah. It's fantastic. It should be. I am going to be having Bold as Love from Brothers Cascadia. It's a good one.
I'll be drinking Sprite.
But
it's
Untapped.
But it's the seasonal Sprite.
I see that.
It's the winter spiced cranberry.
Oh.
I taste
Oh,
that.
try this with some gin. Oh.
Oh.
My husband can only taste the gin now if we only have Sprite. That's how much we drank it during last holiday. Yeah. Welcome to try it.
Yeah, can I? Ooh, that was a good one. Jeez.
Yeah. I'll drink. I don't know. We're all friends.
At this point, you know.
That is really good.
At that point, if we all get COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Well, whatever. It really is.
Oh man, that's really really
I'm
good.
obsessed. And that's the zero. Obviously the normal.
Yeah.
That's a really yes, absolutely vodka or gin or straight.
Or straight. Not paid by Sprite.
Right.
Oh, I wish. We'd have better mics, better equipment. We've been using our phones for video. We'd have actual stands.
I know. How many things do we actually
I know.
like brand awareness, brand support, and we're like, but I'm really not paid by any of them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I should be.
Yep.
Man, I've been waiting for this for a while, Amanda, because you have always been one of, not just a supporter of what we do. I mean, you have been, but you've been a supporter of the community that we're trying to build. And for people who don't understand, Amanda is probably one of the first people before Passages was even a thing that we talked to about branding, about why it's important, the storytelling part of it. So Amanda, maybe just go into what is one of the biggest misconceptions that small business owners have about branding?
Okay, this is good because this is absolutely. And before I get started, I will say, yeah, we've been having this conversation so long that actually we were supposed to have a podcast right before COVID hit, and then we had to cancel.
Like
because the
literally,
world shut down.
literally.
We had it planned, and then we went, oh, this COVID thing. Okay,
I guess it's kind of serious. We can't really meet.
dang. So yeah, it's been crazy. Okay, biggest misconception. I think that actually a lot of business owners, not even just small business owners, but I have known businesses that have grown and they keep growing and they kind of have really skipped this part, which is kind of crazy. But it is that once you have your logo and your brand name, that you have a brand. And there's so much that gets hung up on. You'll see it, on like Facebook ISOs or people just in networking saying, "Oh, I need to build my brand." Who knows a graphic artist? It's like, "Ooh, let's not start with the graphic artist."
Yeah.
While there are amazing graphic artists that do understand brand, they're really good at creating graphics, not always at creating the brand. And if you go there first, often they're going to create the brand they see and envision for you rather than what may truly align with who you are if you haven't put the work in. And then you get stuck, which I was one of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I am my best client because as I dove into my business and especially started to bring brand into it, I realized like my first two logos from like, oh, okay. Yeah, they really didn't. I mean, one of them totally missed the mark. It was a beautiful logo, but it looked like I was a copywriter, which I was not.
Yeah, I get it. And you say you're a visual storyteller, right? That's kind of your.
Yeah.
I think that's really how you and I met because of that, because of photography and all that. But what is visual storytelling? What is storytelling? Why is it important to have a story for your business?
Okay, that's a great question. So having your story is really, in essence, what your business or brand story is the thoughtful and intentional culmination of who you are as a person, your brand personality, and your brand. So sometimes, especially as small business owners, who you are is really part of that. And actually even big brands, the founder still, their story is often really rooted in the brand story. And then with that, it's also paired with who you want to attract. So it's being very clear on who you are, but also who you want to attract and being very specific in that story, because you're telling your story is going to be the attractant, is going to be what, when people see or hear about your brand and business, what it's going to have that trigger of, oh, this person gets me, or, oh, this is interesting, or, oh, what is that? I'm curious. And it's that hook. And it's really, I mean, if you think about storytelling in general, it's an arc. You have the beginning, you have that where it sets the stage. And this is where my background in theater and film come a lot into play, is that just as much as a theater production or a film, we've all seen great films that just draw us in right away.
Yeah.
We've all seen horrible films that we're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And when there's not that clarity at the beginning, although with theater and film, sometimes it's intentional manipulation. But even then, if there's something that doesn't hook you in, you're not going to finish it. Or even a book. Like if you are reading a book and you're like, I mean, there are so many books at this point that I have put aside because I'm like, it's just not worth me the time me reading.
Yeah.
Or I'll read the end. And hope it makes sense. So really, that is why having your story thoughtfully and intentionally decided is important, because it's crucial in who you attract, and it's crucial in, I think, just how you navigate business, both in an internal brand culture and an external brand culture. And as you grow, so if you grow as a business and get beyond being a solopreneur, or even just having like being an entrepreneur with maybe an assistant or something, and you start to grow, that same story has to circle inward just as much as it does outward. So you're going to attract the people who you want to hire, as well as attract the people who you want to work with as clients.
Wow. What made you get into this? Like, no, like seriously, what made you like realize that this is what your passion is about? Like, how did you get into this?
So
You said you were in theater and stuff. Was that part of it?
Yeah, really, my background in theater and film has really been a huge influence on, I think, this whole journey. And when I went to school, it's really funny story is I went from wanting to go into medicine to wanting to be a teacher and teach theater and biology, which would have been weird, but really cool. And then landing as a major in broadcast communications. And so that was kind of the easiest path of resistance for me, because I looked at what it was going to take to do everything else. And I'm like, well, I can do this broadcast communications thing. It's like getting in front of a camera, like on news. Okay, I can do this. And so that's where I just headed when I was finishing my degree. And it really brought together my background and love for performing arts in theater and film, but in a way that could also be applied like on a journalistic side. Or really, my first internship was at a company where we worked actually with a lot of nonprofits to tell their story so they could raise funds.
Okay.
And so that's where I think the passion really started. Was it's not just important to visually show up, but it's to tell that story that resonates, because that's what is, especially like in nonprofit realm, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And it just kind of went from there. And when we moved back from Denver to the Northwest, which was in 2006, I did not know a soul in the broadcast arena. I didn't know anyone and really at that time, like getting my own equipment and all of that was not even like attainable, because at that time, cameras and everything was so expensive. And I didn't really have a ton of experience to just say, okay, I'm going to do this. So I ended up actually working as a marketing manager in that capacity, because I had done so many events and I had been connected with so many things where I had done admin and marketing, that it's where I jumped in. And so really that helped shape how taking my experience with journalistic side and visual storytelling into how to then utilize that in marketing. And really, marketing is just storytelling. Marketing really is just storytelling. If you think about the brands that stick with you. So like, what is a brand that you guys love?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, but Nike, just do it. Like that immediately comes to mind.
Yeah. And what's attractive about Nike to you?
It's simple.
Simple, and
I know exactly what they're selling. Like I know.
But because of the visuals.
Of the visual. Yeah. The swoosh.
Well, the swoosh, but then any of their marketing is always tied to action.
Yeah.
An active lifestyle. So what about you, Kimberly? What brands do you love?
Lewitt is a good local example.
That's a good one. Yeah.
It's a good local one because right away, you know, they sell beer and their culture is the background of Blewett, right? The mountain. So, yeah, I think that's the first one that comes to my mind. I also just ate Wendy's. I feel like they've upped their game. I know we've talked about that in the past too, but
And that is one that's really tied to the person, you know, the founder. They did
Dave.
not, Dave Thomas, Dave Thomas, Dave Thomas.
Thomas. Yep.
They did not, even after the fact, because I don't know if he's still.
No, he passed. He's no longer with us.
I always worry. I'm like, I don't remember who's alive and who's dead anymore.
know.
It's horrible. But it was so intrinsic to, I think, the message behind, and even the logo. Like you look at the logo, and even though they've modernized a lot of things, they still have not strayed because it resonates with the people that go to Wendy's.
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's really where I think my passion for visual storytelling has always, since I was probably 2 years into my business, was tied. That foundation process was tied with the visuals, because if you don't have a strong foundation on your brand, you can have every beautiful photo, you can have all the videos in your library on your channel, but if it doesn't make sense to your grand vision and your core values and to your grand message that you and focused on the people that you want to attract, it's going to just sit there. And so many business owners that they just, I mean, I get people, they're like, I need a video. And I'm like, okay, we'd sit down and talk through. Brandy, I don't know. My coach just said I need a video. Oh. I'm like, oh, your coach is doing you such a disservice. Yes. And let's sit down and talk.
Yeah, I remember having those conversations with you and Val. You guys did a workshop for us, for our members too. And like how do I put it? I didn't go in. I went into your workshop thinking I knew a lot. I did.
I know. And you probably knew a lot, but I mean, at the same time.
And then I come out, I'm like, I don't know shit. I am lost. And, you know, like you said it, if you don't know what your values are, if you don't have a mission, a vision, if you don't have any of that, like that's the core foundation of how you're going to try to send that message and that story to your client, right? And your customer.
Because it's completely tied, or it should be. It isn't always. It should be completely tied to then the visuals. So your color palette.
I remember that.
The colors you choose have a huge psychological impact on what people see. You can't just choose red because it's your favorite, because it's not necessarily going to be the right fit for you. You know, if you think about brands that have
whole
red.
Spreadsheet. You had that whole thing of the different colors and what they mean, right?
Yeah. There's huge color psychology, and I really pull from film and theater. And this will ruin a lot of people for. Oh, you okay there?
You'll be all right. It's a Sprite and Wendy's.
We're gonna take a moment.
My chest. That's crazy.
Awesome.
Okay, I have to have some of
That's
that.
awesome.
So funny. So I challenge anyone to, the next time they watch a commercial, or the next time they watch a film, or the next time they watch, you know, if you go to stage productions, there's so much intention that goes behind the colors that are chosen. So one of my favorite that I go to is kind of a sample of color psychology and visuals in film is Wes Anderson.
Okay.
So Wes Anderson as a whole, if you look at all of his productions, there's an inline thread that how all of his productions are colorized. They're colorized with a very kind of almost dreamy look.
What movies has he done, or what productions?
So Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And even he has a couple of animated ones that still have that same look and feel.
Do you know?
Yeah, there was a whole TikTok trend.
Oh, there's a whole
6 months ago, a few months ago or something.
Yeah.
It might have been a year ago.
He does a lot of like long shots. He does a lot of
His coloring.
You need to look him up.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen. I'm sure I have.
and pretty much
specific colors.
pretty much like Bill Murray and Angelica Houston
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
All of they're kind of like all of his go-to actors.
Yeah.
And so if you look at his work, he's very intentional. Like he has an overall look and feel, but each film, depending on what story he's telling, has a very specific color palette. And when you're supposed to be sad, you're sad. And when you're happy, you're happy. But if you're not paying attention, you don't necessarily see it. But he's informing you visually how you should feel.
Love it.
And so just as that is in a film experience, in marketing, you get a few seconds.
Yeah.
You get a few seconds. I think it's down to about 5 to 7 seconds that someone will look at your brand and see if it resonates and stick with it or bounce.
Holy jeez.
We are goldfish now. TikTok has ruined us because I will tell you on myself, I'll scroll. Nope. Okay, what's that?
Wow. 5 to 7 seconds.
If that, it may be less.
Wow.
And that is the amount of time you get to hook someone to stick with you. So the colors that you choose, the style that you choose to present yourself, what's called, I call it your brand personality and your visual brand identity, which is all representative of that foundation. So it should represent your mission, vision. It should all be flavoring that. And you have, 5 to 7 seconds to hook someone that's going to be wanting to know more.
And that goes to my next, because in that same workshop, you talked about your elevator pitch. And, for people who network a lot, and if you're not networking and you're a small business owner, that's a whole different episode.
You got to figure that one out
Yeah.
eventually. Just a little even.
It's even like, that's what overwhelmed me, is like, oh my God, I got to fit all that into my elevator pitch. And your elevator pitch is what? How long is that typically? Like, you want it to be what?
5 to 7 seconds.
So how do you?
30 seconds.
30
like
seconds,
the
yeah.
30-second elevator pitch is kind of pretty standard.
7 seconds is like bullet points. It's like boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
done.
Unlock your story.
Throw in these cards.
But that's where that tagline often, if
tagline,
someone,
yeah.
and that's where people see it visually before you ever open your mouth. If you got a name tag on, or you got a card or something. But yeah, it's quick.
Yeah.
And you have to
it's
craft it.
overwhelming. It can be really overwhelming.
Well, and this is where it's been fun to start to take these pieces when I first started this, oh my gosh, the amount of time I would put into crafting, helping a client craft all of these, because it was all HI. It was all human intelligence.
Yeah.
And now with the dawn of AI, it's been really cool to see how we can train people to in essence, train their AI tools so that it can sound like them. So we can start, we start initially with things that you do have to use your brain. You have to select why you're doing what you're doing. You can't ask AI that because it'll give you something, but
It's not you. Yeah,
right.
it doesn't know. Yeah.
And you have to start with the words that resonate with who you are. That's actually where I first start, is a brand personality test. It is all based on word choice, because the words that you're attracted to, that you feel resonate with your story and who you are and all of that it's kind of words are powerful. And someone who selects, a very exciting set of words versus a very soft and encouraging, those are two different brands. And that's going to set the tone. And it also allows the business owner to put their personality into that and craft a brand that truly is their brand. And then you kind of go from there. And so then you can train AI to start to, you put your thoughts in there, train it, and then you can ask it to help you start to craft these things a little. So crafting an elevator pitch after you've trained a brand thread is not as difficult as it used to be. So you can ask it, hey, AI, can you please, in your train chat, use everything I've trained you about my brand and help me to craft a 15 to 20 second elevator pitch. And then it will. And then you can ask it to tweak it, or you take it and use your own intelligence to make it a little bit more your own.
More of your own voice in that. Yeah, I get it.
Because AI, even the most trained AI is still, kind of every once in a while. I was looking at something today and it was like, flourishing growth and this flourishing and I forget what else. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's AI. Oops, your AI is showing. Stop.
Oh, what a great t-shirt that'd be.
Yeah, your AI is showing. That would be a great. That would
be a good t-shirt.
We are actually, I think, working on a shirt for that.
Oh, that's so good.
That would be awesome.
Have it look a little risque, but not too much. Just so it's like, oops, like the
suntan lotion.
Suntan lotion. Oops, your AI is right here.
That is awesome. I love that.
I love that.
Oopsie.
So on that elevator pitch and all that stuff, how does you have that? Is it now good? Like when do you know when you have you're ready for your logo, when you're ready to pick that out? Like it's like what comes first? Like you have to know your story, you have to know this other stuff before you really pick a logo, right?
Really, you want to, if you have the time to spend crafting your brand foundation. And really, for me, there is about 4 pillars that are absolute. You have to have these 4. And then everything else can kind of fit around it. Like you can do your mission and vision statement after the fact.
Because they're fluid, right?
Because they're a little more fluid. They can be.
Yeah.
I mean, mission is your right now, and this is where a lot of people get confused too. Mission is your right now impact you want to have on the people around you and your community, whether it's direct community, global community, like whatever that is. It's the direct impact you want to have. Whereas vision is that it truly is a vision. It's a long, overarching kind of, it should be a little higher than, you should not be able to just attain it in a year.
Okay.
But visions change, mission statements change and adjust. But your core values and your why are things that really don't often change. Because if your why statement changes and your core values change, then that completely changes your business. Yeah. So the 4 pillars I say for a brand that you need to nail down before you get to creating a logo and building a website and all the things we think are a brand are identifying your core values. Okay. Really just sitting down and saying, what are the things that absolutely positively, like it's the line in the sand. Like this is not, if I or people around me do not uphold this value, then I don't want to work with them.
Yep.
I don't want that to be part of my culture. I want this to be part of my culture. The second would be your why, knowing why you're doing what you're doing. And I am a little weird in the sense that like Simon Sinek, know your why is a great direction, but a lot of the why statements that come out of that work are more what I call a global why, which is fine.
Are called what?
Global why, like your really big why.
Okay.
And in my opinion, often we also have a personal why.
I want to make money.
And we have, I know,
That's the need to live. Why?
right? And then we have our business why. So you don't have to have all three, but there's flexibility in that. And then knowing who your who is, who your ideal people are, who your ideal clients are, or donors, or whatever they are.
Right.
And then your brand, like knowing your brand personality. Like, what is your brand personality? Because there's several assessments out there. I utilize two. One is based on 5 dimensions of a brand. I've kind of reinvented that assessment for my own, but it really is I have 6 dimensions, whereas the original was 5, that then kind of describe, are you an exciting brand and a sincere brand? Are you a rugged brand? And then the brand archetypes. A lot of people are familiar with the brand archetypes. So are you a hero? Are you a humanitarian?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
So there's a whole gamut there. And that really does inform, like they all kind of inform each other. And then from there you can start to craft your visuals if you want. And then you can fill in the rest of your brand foundation with your mission and vision and marketing statements and taglines and stuff like that start to come out of that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the other thing that I think is interesting, and we've talked a little bit about, is for a lot of people, a lot of business owners who want to expand and start hiring, your brand has to attract those people as well. And they have to want to be a part of that too, which I think a lot of business owners who are hiring don't quite necessarily understand that part of it.
Correct. They just are trying to get a warm body.
Yes. Yeah. But like, there's a lot of our people who are just, I just need a warm body. I'm burnt out. I just need this. And it's like, okay, but why would they want to work with you for you? Like, why?
Well, and if you don't have a clear vision and foundation to like why you're doing what you're doing. So for example, let's just say financial or wealth, management and consultation.
Yep.
There's a wide spectrum of why people do that business. Some people really want to, and who they focus on. Some people focus on business owners. Some people like to focus on individuals because they want to help an individual grow their wealth and their wealth portfolio or whatever. And if you are not clear when you start bringing people into your team of who you're wanting to work with and why you're doing what you do, and you cannot state that in a concise way, or even in a not so concise way, but at least in a way that gives direction, then you're going to hire someone and then maybe they're like, oh yeah, well, I want to help these people. And then all of a sudden your brand gets hijacked or diluted. And then all of a sudden you have this person representing your brand this way, and you have this person representing your brand that way, and you have that person over there, representing your brand in another way.
That's very interesting.
And so it can get really, really crazy really fast. So when you're building a team or you're building staff, if you don't give people direction, they will find what they want and do that. But even that comes to like hiring a contractor. So let's say, you hire a graphic artist to build the logo and web designer. If you don't give them clear direction, they will do what they want based on what they think you want or if you're like, I don't know, they'll just build your brand for you. And that may not be correct.
No, I never.
All the time.
And you spent a lot of money
Yeah.
on something that is not actually,
not to your
and you're
voice
not,
or-
and you're not satisfied and you don't know why. I don't know how many business owners are like, oh, my web designer, it's so much money and I'm stuck with it now and I don't like it. Why don't you like it? Well, I don't know. It's just not me. Did you tell them?
Yeah.
Did they ask you? Well, not really.
What's the difference between not asking them or telling them, or just letting it happen even after you've had that conversation with them?
Oh,
There's
there's that
definitely-
too. Yeah. Whereas if so often what I've become in some ways is when I've worked with someone, I sometimes become a little bit of a liaison initially and brand manage for them just slightly as they are getting a graphic artist or a web designer or, you know, whatever other contractor. And then we're handing them the brand, the visual brand guide and the brand editorial guide that has everything in it. And it's like, these are your guides. Don't stray. Here it is.
Do you give them homework then? Like, do you give your clients homework? Like I want to know this. Is that part of what you do when you're meeting with a client? Yeah.
Yeah, there absolutely is. I work with people on different levels. I'm actually going to be rolling out some courses where if people want to do a little bit more DIY and then just meet with myself and the other gal that I'm collaborating with, Mariah, and meet with us to kind of consult in a more hands-off way. That's absolutely fine. I've also had people say, I don't want to do the work. I want you to pull it out of me. So
Wow.
you pay more for that.
Oh yeah.
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 Because sometimes it is purely, I've worked with a lot of neurodivergent, high function neurodivergent, but they don't know what they don't know. And sometimes they cannot pull it together because their brain is so out there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
Cool. Well, awesome. You're going to be speaking at ThriveCon.
I am.
Super excited. Yay. So just tell the people who, if they're listening and they were there, what they heard from you, or people who didn't make it, what you're going to be talking about.
Sure. I am going to be talking about harnessing the power of body language. So
I love this. I love this.
Visual storytelling happens in the photos you put out, the videos you put out, the graphics, but it also has a lot to do with how you show up personally. So this taps into the level of when you're networking, when you're meeting with clients, even on Zoom, like, how are you showing up? What story are you telling without even saying anything? Because we tell lots of stories without speaking. And I really have always felt very passionate about helping people understand that. Those that are attending or have attended I've taught on this in different places. All of a sudden you're very hyper aware of everything you're doing. But it's good because one of the things that we're going to initially talk about is some exercises to help connect yourself to your body, because we in our current day are so disconnected because we're looking at our damn phone. We're looking at the
100%.
damn computer.
Yeah.
And we forget that our eye contact, how we're holding our body, how we're holding our hands, how we're standing, those all send a message. And even though we're disconnected from our body, we receive those messages. It's kind of like, if you think about, you go into a networking event.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
We walk in and we've all been to that one. You're like, this feels like high school with all the mean people. Because they all got their back to me and no one is being inviting. They're all closed off or there's just that like vibe, right? We've all been to one of those.
Yeah.
And that, they all know each other, so they're not going to necessarily subconsciously be inclusive. Mm-hmm. And they may not intend that, but they're not paying attention to being inclusive or being open or, oh, come over, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Another thing that we'll be talking about in this workshop is also as a business owner, being able to pick up on cues with your clients. So it kind of gives you ninja superpowers a little bit, because there are tells or signs that people subconsciously will do, whether it's, again, on Zoom or sitting across from someone at the table, that will give you insight into like what may be going on.
Do one. What's one right now?
So I will say, right, so Kimberly has her hand here. When you're touching your face, that usually is like interest, but you're also wanting to know more.
Oh.
Now, if you start to do more of this, or you do like this, you'll see people sometimes will sit like this.
Yeah.
This is very protective. You're protecting your carotid. It's a very like deeply rooted
flight or flight type of.
Yeah. And so this or this, sometimes people will be like,
That's what my wife gives me a lot of.
So this also makes you a superpower in your household too. So those things will allow you to see that there's concern.
Oh, geez.
Or unrest, maybe. I mean, it depends on what you're talking about.
Right.
So when those cues come up, you can address them in a way that's not threatening. Like, okay, I kind of sensed you have some questions. And they'll be like, oh, I have some questions. Yes. How did they know? But you can do this with your kids too.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it's also a way to insert certain situations. I mean, this is a skill for life. Like if you think through, you can shift a mood, you can shift a room simply by like how you are. If you're like this to your kids,
Yeah.
they're like, okay. But if you're like, okay, what happened? Not what happened, which I've done several times.
Oh, yeah.
What happened? But you're like, okay, what happened? Explain to me. And even like getting down, if they're littles, getting down with them and saying, okay, what happened?
Wow.
Is much different than like, what happened?
Yeah, it's true. No, you're right.
They're like, I didn't do anything. It's not my fault. It's him.
Yeah.
So this is kind of, yes, for business professionals, it's important because we're showing up for our brand and our business, but it's a life skill too.
It is. It really is. That is a life hack.
Yeah.
It really is. And get you I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to.
Now I'm gonna be aware, just like.
I know, right?
I'm not questioning. No.
Well, that's funny that you're like, just so you know, you're gonna be hyper aware of everything you're doing from here.
For a little while, yeah. Well, and I even find myself like, oh, okay, I've got to reposition.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because we all get into our own natural state.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay.
Isn't that good though to be in your natural? Isn't that a good unless you're a jackass by nature, but isn't it good to like get somebody into their natural state? Is that a good thing or?
Yes. However, if you're trying to communicate a specific message, a lot of people, their natural state, and I'll put this down real quick.
Yeah.
Is what even in photos, it drives me crazy.
Oh.
This. What do I do with my arms?
I catch myself all the time doing like that.
You're closed off. This is natural because what do you do with your hands?
Yeah.
You know, but if you're in a room and someone's across the room from you, they're not going to come and talk to you. Because you're like, no.
You're closed off.
You're closed off. Don't mess with me.
What about hands in pocket?
Hands in pockets.
The little Lizzie McGuire moment.
Hands in the pockets aren't as bad. Actually, that's totally fine. So if you're in a room and you're wanting to connect with people, you have to intentionally, like, I'm open. But that's why I take this even into the photos that I help craft for people and their videos, because unless you're a power lawyer, like, don't mess with us, we're gonna take you down, which is an intentional choice, an intentional brand message. But if that's not your message,
no, that's a good point. No, that is.
How many of us have seen those photos where you're like, why are you crossing? And sometimes it's really awkward crossing. It's not
yeah. Uh-huh.
And you're like, what are you doing?
Well, those realtors.
Billboards are like that.
Those realtors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Realtors are like, yeah, that's their classic.
That's right.
Realtors, insurance, mortgage.
I can't do it well.
Well, it's a natural pose that was, I don't know where it really got embedded in brand photography, and it's stuck. And so photographers that don't understand brand messaging, they take good pictures, but if they don't understand the brand messaging and they don't understand the psychology behind the body language, like, if we make that crossed arm thing, it has to be for a reason for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait. I think it's going to be awesome. If you want people to find you,
You can find me at silverkeysmedia.com or at silverkeysmedia, either Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I have all the ats for Silver Keys Media. And then I do actually have an Instagram for at Amanda C. Goff for my Instagram, and also a YouTube channel too for more of my personal brand.
awesome.
Yeah.
Kimberly Keys, your turn.
So you can find Passages to Success. I'm like, do I look at my own phone? No, it's not right. It's not even looking at me. All right. So you can find Passages to Success at passagestosuccess.com, and all the social medias like her. We took all the handles at passages, the word to success or Passages to Success. Goodness sake.
There we go.
Use a different clip.
Very long.
Yes.
Edit that out. No.
Or our YouTube and TikTok, Biz Over Beer.
Or it'll be in the show notes.
I know.
That too. And I will say, having been with Passages since kind of the beginning, it's been, if you are needing a community to network with that is going to really have your back, this is one of the few in the area. Because it's been crafted by people who have been through all of the networking groups and have taken the good from all of those, so that we can, I think really the big thing is focusing on the business owner as a whole.
Yeah.
Not transactions, not points, not whatever. And also I think the unique focus of mental health and wellness.
Yeah. 100%. Amanda, you're fantastic. I'm so happy. I can't believe that you said that we were going to do your podcast pre-COVID. I remember that. That's right. That's crazy. It's been that long.
It's been a while.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy.
You waited for the best.
I did, for sure, 100%. And I'm pumped. We're going to have some interviews with you at ThriveCon 2.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Folks, look for her reels, look for her shorts on YouTube, and it's going to be great. So thank you again, Amanda.
Thank you.
You're awesome. And thank you, Keys. And thank you watching and listening. Bye.